ilẹ̀ ìgbàlódé BTM fashion show tó ṣara lóge tí ló wá sẹ́pẹ́sẹ́pẹ́ kí wọ́n ṣàwá òkè.
We the firm, we the best, and the voice on the rest. We the best, we the first ever radio in Africa.
Nationals FM.
You just have to tune in 106.7.
Nationals FM.
Yeah.
Good evening. The time is 7 o'clock. This is News at Sunset on Pensioners 106.7 FM, Abarigo Onireke Ibadan. My name is Pius Nsabe. First, the top stories. Serap slams National Broadcasting Commission over sanctions on 3 television stations. Adamawa looters cut home brand new tractors. Makinde sets up fund to check youth restiveness. And in sport, Nigeria referees await calendar for new football season. Now the news in full. The National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, has sanctioned 3 television stations, Arise TV, Africa Independent Television, and Channels Television, over their alleged roles in the escalation of violence across the country. The fines range between 2 million and 3 million naira. The acting Director General of NBC, Professor Armstrong Idachaba, announced the sanction at a press conference in Abuja, saying the stations acted unprofessionally in the coverage of the NSAS protests. The stations were accused of airing unverified images of the alleged shootings at the Lekki toll gate. But in a swift reaction, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, condemned the action of the NBC, describing it as unconstitutional, illegal, and another example of Nigerian authorities' push to silence independent media and voices. In the meantime, hoodlums in Adamawa State have carted away tractors as part of the looting spree going on around the country. This is even as they extended their looting to private businesses, agricultural storage facilities, and government offices, despite the curfew imposed by the state government. After removing foodstuff and other items from the state government warehouses on Sunday, the irate youths attacked several agricultural warehouses owned by farmers' associations, removing irrigation machines, fertilizers, seedlings, and various types of implements. Today, a group of young men broke into a warehouse in Kofare Industrial Area in Yola Metropolis and rolled away several brand new tractors, with jubilant youth seen hailing them. Similarly, residents in search of COVID-19 palliatives stormed a warehouse located in Gwagwalada in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. The looted items include rice, pastries, noodles, sugar, salts, and fertilizers. The warehouse, which is located near WAEC office, is said to contain items belonging to the Federal Capital Territory Administration. The youth had earlier on Sunday broken into a warehouse at Jabi District, close to the Code of Conduct Tribunal, while another warehouse at Idu Industrial Area was also attacked by the hoodlums. Meanwhile, residents of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, have complained about the near absence of police presence on streets, especially at night, leading to increasing activities of criminal elements. The Cross River State Police Command says it has started recovering some items looted in the state capital, Calabar. The State Police Command also said it started recording positive results with the arrest of some of those who vandalized various government and private property in the state capital. Speaking with journalists in Calabar, the Cross River State capital, the Commissioner of Police, Abdul Kadir Jimo, said they have so far recovered a lot of looted items and have apprehended many. Recall that Governor Ben Ayade had asked security operatives to go from home to home in search of looted items. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Governors Forum has denied allegations that COVID-19 palliatives meant for distribution were hoarded by state governments. According to a statement signed by the forum spokesman Abdul Rasak Bello Barkindo, the governors have held several meetings in the NSAS protests and started to address concerns of members of the public. The forum noted that governors have since set up judicial panels of inquiry to look into such cases. According to the governors, the erroneous impression in the public domain that these palliatives were hoarded is inaccurate, saying the palliatives were meant to be distributed to the vulnerable. And here in Oyo State, as part of measures to check the end-SARS demonstrations and forestall future protests, Governor Sheyi Makinde has set up a 500 million naira small and medium scale enterprises for the empowerment of youth to eradicate unemployment in the state. Governor Sheyi Makinde said this during a parley with the stakeholders, traditional rulers, chairmen of local governments and local council development areas and clerics. Governor Makinde, who also directed all governmental agencies to employ 5,000 youths to tackle unemployment rate in the state, reassured that the state government will continue to prioritize policies that will benefit the youth.
I want to give them the reassurance that we will continue to prioritize actions that will positively impact the youth. For this reason, we are taking the following immediate actions to address some of the issues raised by the youth during the protest. One, I have directed that a 500 million naira MSME fund will be set up. This fund will be disbursed to youth who have bright entrepreneurial ideas that will provide further employment and improve the economic landscape in Oyo. I have directed the employment of 5,000 young persons across all government agencies.
And in their separate remarks, the clerics present urged leaders in the state to call for Southwestern Leaders Conference to find lasting solution to the incessant challenges facing the region. Deputy Inspector General of Police, Leye Uyebade, the Alaafin of Oyo, Oba Lamidi Adeyemi III, the Olubadan of Ibadan land, Oba Saliu Adetunji, Oyo State Deputy Governor Rauf Olaniyan, Speaker, Oyo State House of Assembly, Debo Ogundui were all present at the meeting. Meanwhile, the Minister of Youth and Sport Development, Sunday Dare, has arrived in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, to hold a meeting with representatives of youth in the state. This follows the directive by President Muhammadu Buhari that all ministers and aides should go back to their constituents and appeal to youth in their respective states and regions to eschew violence. Mr. Dare, while briefing State House correspondents shortly after meeting with Governor Sheyi Makinde on the directives of the presidency, said he will make use of the 25 empowerment programs designed by the federal government to engage the youth with the help of the Oyo State government.
Upon the President's directive that all cabinet ministers go back to their state and hold levels of consultation arising from the youth protests across the country, the hashtag #EndSARS protest. Therefore, I've come to do my own level of consultations. And I think the best place to start is to start with the Chief Security Officer of the state, which is the governor. And this morning, I've had a very fruitful deliberation with him. I've delivered the message from the federal government. We've also considered ways in which we can partner to make sure that the youth of this country are supported, are empowered, but also above all, to make sure that we keep the peace that is necessary for development.
The Minister of Youth and Sport Development maintained that the federal government would get justice for those who lost their lives and those attacked during the protests.
We saw this protest start as a very peaceful protest for several days, almost 2 weeks. But then, as soon as we had an infiltration and the poisoning of the well, we saw that some people hijacked and took this demonstration in a different direction. I'm happy that peace is being restored gradually. We will get justice for every youth that has been either killed, injured, or attacked in this process. The President, of course, has ordered an investigation to all the atrocities committed by SARS. We have seen government action. About 36 NSAS officers have been retired and fired from their jobs. In Lagos, 21 NSAS officers beginning today have been taken to court, arraigned before the court of law. In Ogun State, the same thing is happening. And across the state, that will happen. And I think that
it was a mixed response as Governor Sheyi Makinde directed schools in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, to resume academic activities today. Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Olasun Komi Olaleye, had on Sunday evening announced the resumption of schools in the metropolis after the government had temporarily closed schools owing to the violence that trailed the NSAS protests. Pensioners FM correspondents who visited some schools report that the attendance was largely poor as only few students resumed for academic activities. A principal of a government school in Ibadan said teachers have resumed while some students were yet to resume.
We have had the morning session. The junior students resumed this morning and the teacher taught them. Though not all of them came this morning. We believe that once the teacher taught them, others will resume tomorrow. All the teachers were present and everything went well. The junior students have just left and the senior are resuming now. We are waiting for their resumption.
At a private school visited, teachers were on ground but no pupil. As a teacher, Mr. Olatunde David attributed it to the late information on school resumption and parents' fear of possibility of more security breach in the state. Some angry youths in Ikire, the headquarters of Irewole local government area of Osun State, today chased the Akire of Ikire, members of Akire in council from the palace. It was gathered that the youth suspected to be members of the houses that have been laying claim to the stools besieged the palace around the Akire in council when the Akire in council were said to be holding meeting. There are also reports that the Supreme Court had declared the position of the monarch illegal, noting that it was not the turn of Falabi to occupy the throne. The chairman of Irewole local government, Prince Abbas Remilekun, confirmed the attack on the palace. An Ibadan elder statesman, Chief Theophilus Akinyele, is dead. He died in Lagos at the age of 88. Born on the 29th of February 1932 in Ibadan, Akinyele was permanent secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture and Finance of the old Western state. This is News at Sunset on Pensioners 106.7 FM. We now move to our pension and labor stories. The Nigeria Labour Congress has urged the federal and state governments to release all COVID-19 palliatives still stored in warehouses across the country. The union also condemned the mass looting of both the COVID-19 palliatives and non-COVID-19 items in the country. The NLC, in a statement by its president, Ayuba Waba, said the distribution of the palliatives by the authorities would help assuage the suffering of the people. Talking some entertainment now, BB Niger Season 5 winner Lekan has reportedly donated a huge sum of money to sickle cell patients. The reality star sent social media into frenzy when he disclosed that his genotype was SC, similar to SS. According to reports, the 26-year-old donated for the screening of newborn for sickle cell disease and associated treatment for children in low resources settings in Nigeria. And in the world of sports, ahead of the 2020-2021 football season in the country, the Nigeria Football Referees Association is waiting for the organizers of the league to roll out their calendar. Publicity Secretary, Nigeria Referees Association, Kelechi Mejuobi, said in an interview with Pensioners FM correspondent Ibiwumi Ishola that coronavirus pandemic that paralyzed all sporting activities across the world also had negative effect on the association.
Incidentally, the COVID-19 lockdown and associated challenges have slowed down the pace of all activities, including football. We are trying to come back, but individually the referees are training, and as soon as preparations go in full scale, we shall hold our program.
Meanwhile, the FIFA physical fitness test expected to commence this week has been shifted to next week in Abuja due to NSAS protest. FIFA fitness test is an annual program organized for FIFA badged referees to test their level of fitness ahead of international competitions. And to end news at sunset on Pensioners 106.7 FM, here is a recap of the top stories. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has criticized the National Broadcasting Commission for sanctioning 3 television stations over alleged unprofessional coverage of the NSAS shootings. Some residents of Adamawa State have carted home brand new tractors as part of the looting spree going on around the country. Oyo State Governor Sheyi Makinde has set up a 500 million naira small and medium scale enterprises fund to support youth and check restiveness in the state and in sport. Ahead of the 2020-2021 football season in the country, the Nigeria Football Referees Association has said it is waiting for the organizers of the leagues to roll out their calendar. Olarisayo Oweye led the production crew. My name is Pius Nsabe, thanking you for listening. Good night.
Ẹ kú déédéé wòyí, ìròyìn àṣálẹ́ ló ń dé sétí ìgbọ̀nyín láti kàn ní rédíò àgbàlódé pensioners 106.7 tó kalẹ̀ ságbárígo onírèké Ìbàdàn. Ṣáájú ẹgbẹ́ àwọn àrìgbàmù inú ìròyìn. Serap bẹnu àtẹ́lu bí àjọ tó ń ṣe kòkárí iléeṣẹ́ ìgbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́ nílẹ̀ yìí ṣe gbégidá àwọn iléeṣẹ́ amóhùnmáwòrán kan lẹ́yìn. Àwọn ọmọ ìṣọ̀tá wa katakata lọ nípínlẹ̀ Adamawa. Mákindé pìyàmọ́ owó fáwọn ọ̀dọ́ tí kò níṣẹ́ lọ́wọ́. Lábala eré ìdárayá, àwọn adarí ayò lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà ń fojú sọ́nà fún ìlànà ètò sáà tuntun. Ìròyìn ọ̀hún rèé lẹ́kùnrẹ́rẹ́ látẹnu Ànúolúwápọ̀ Fásọyìn. Àjọ tó ń bójútó iṣẹ́ ìgbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́ nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà NBC ti gbégidá àwọn iléeṣẹ́ amóhùnmáwòrán mẹ́ta kan ìyún Arise TV, Channels àti AIT lẹ́yìn fún ipa ribiribi tí wọ́n kó nínú ìwọ́de àlàáfíà tó búrẹ́kẹ́ jákèjádò orílẹ̀-èdè yìí gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹ̀sùn eléyìí tí wọ́n fi kàn wọ́n. Adarí àgbà àjọ NBC ọ̀mọ̀wé Armstrong Idachaba tó ṣèkéde yìí fáwọn oníròyìn nílùú Àbújá sọ pé àwọn iléeṣẹ́ amóhùnmáwòrán ọ̀hún ṣiṣẹ́ wọn lọ́nà tí kò bá òfin iṣẹ́ ọ̀hún mu lákòókò ìwọ́de náà. Wọ́n sì pàṣẹ pé kí wọ́n san gbèsè tó ń lọ bíi mílíọ̀nù 2 sí 3 náírà fẹ̀sùn pé wọ́n ṣàfihàn àwọn fọ́nrán tí wọn ò ṣèwádìí ìjìnlẹ̀ lórí rẹ̀ nípa ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ ìṣekúpa àwọn olùwọ́de lágbègbè Lẹ́kì nípínlẹ̀ Èkó. Lójú ẹsẹ̀ lẹ́gbẹ́ tó ń pè fún àkóyawọ́ nínú ètò ìdókòwò àtàkànṣe iṣẹ́ Serap bẹnu àtẹ́lu ìgbésẹ̀ àjọ NBC. Wọ́n sì ṣàpèjúwe rẹ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìgbà tíjọba tún fẹ́ mọ́ dọwọ́ bo àwọn iléeṣẹ́ ìgbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́ lẹ́nu láti má ṣe sọ òdodo mọ́. Gàgìníyòdò làwọn jàǹdùkú nípínlẹ̀ Adamawa fi wá àwọn katakata tuntun kan lọ nílé ìṣúra ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ náà tó wà ní Kufari lólùlú rẹ̀ ti ṣe Yola. Àwọn jàǹdùkú yìí ló sorí kunkun síjọba ìpínlẹ̀ ọ̀hún tó pàṣẹ kónílé-ó-gbélé jákèjádò ìpínlẹ̀ náà nítorí báwọn ọmọ ìṣọ̀tá ṣe sọ ìwọ́de àlàáfíà di bámíì nípínlẹ̀ náà tí wọ́n sì kó àwọn irinṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ lọ nílé ìṣúra ìjọba. Ṣáájú làwọn ọ̀dọ́ ìtàké yabo ilé ìṣúra ìjọba nípínlẹ̀ náà lọ́jọ́ ìsinmi tí wọ́n sì kó àwọn nǹkan tẹnúńjẹ lọ. Ọ̀gá àgbà ọlọ́pàá nípínlẹ̀ Cross Rivers Abdulkadir Jimoh ti jẹ́ kó di mọ̀ pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan táwọn kan ṣàmúlò àkókò ìwọ́de àlàáfíà tó bọ́hẹ́ jákèjádò orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà láti fi kó lọ làwọn tí ń gbà padà báyìí. Bákan náà ló fi kún un pé èsì tóun gbà látàwọn iléeṣẹ́ ọlọ́pàá nípínlẹ̀ náà fi hàn pé ọwọ́ ti ń tẹ àwọn tó ba nǹkan ìjọba àti taládàáni jẹ́. Ṣáájú ni gómìnà ìpínlẹ̀ ọ̀hún Ben Ayade pàṣẹ fáwọn òṣìṣẹ́ elétò ààbò gbogbo láti máa tọ ojúlé sójúlé fáwọn nǹkan eléyìí tí wọ́n jí kó. Wọ́n gbé àwọn nǹkan ìrànwọ́ ìpalára ìbẹ́sílẹ̀ àrùn COVID-19 pamọ́ láì kó fáwọn aráàlú tó nílò rẹ̀. Nínú àtẹ̀jáde kan tágbẹnusọ wọn Abdulrasaq Bello Bakindo fi léde, fi kún pé àwọn tí ń fikùnlukùn ní kété tíwọ́de ìfòpinsíkọ̀ SARS bẹ̀rẹ̀ lórí ìgbáyégbádùn àwọn aráàlú. Ó jẹ́ kó di mímọ̀ pé ìjọba sì ti ṣàgbékalẹ̀ ètò ìdájọ́ tí yóò mójútó gbogbo ìwà tí kò bófin mu tó ṣúyọ látara bẹ̀. Ó ṣàlàyé síwájú sí i pé àwọn ohun ìrànwọ́ fárùn COVID-19 tó wà lákàtà ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ kọ̀ọ̀kan ló wà fáwọn tí kò rọ́wọ́ họrí láwùjọ, àwọn ó sì bẹ̀rẹ̀ pínpín rẹ̀ ní kòpẹ́kòpẹ́. Lára ìgbìyànjú láti fòpin sí ìwọ́de àwọn tó ń béèrè fún kí wọ́n wọ́gilé ikọ̀ SARS àti kírúfẹ́ rẹ̀ má baà wáyé lọ́jọ́ iwájú, gómìnà Ṣèyí Mákindé ti pìyàmọ́ ẹ̀ẹ́dẹ́gbẹ̀ta mílíọ̀nù náírà láti fi ró àwọn ọ̀dọ́ tó ń dókòwò tàbí tó níṣẹ́ lọ́wọ́ lágbára kó sì fòpin sí àìníṣẹ́ wọn. Mákindé tó sì léyìí di mímọ̀ nígbà tó ń ṣèpàdé pẹ̀lú àwọn tọ́rọ̀ kàn, àwọn lọ́balọ́ba, àwọn alága ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ àti ti ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ onídàgbàsókè tó fi mọ́ àwọn olórí ẹ̀sìn nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́, pàṣẹ fún gbogbo àwọn àjọ iléeṣẹ́ ìjọba láti gba ẹgbẹ̀rún márùn-ún àwọn ọ̀dọ́ síṣẹ́ lábẹ́ wọn. Ó sì tẹnumọ́ pé ìṣàkóso rẹ̀ kò ní tẹ́tí nínú ṣíṣàgbékalẹ̀ àwọn ìpinnu tí yóò mọ jàǹfààní fáwọn ọ̀dọ́. Nígbà táwọn náà ń sọ̀rọ̀, àwọn olórí ẹ̀sìn gba àwọn olórí ẹkùn gúúsù orílẹ̀-èdè yìí nímọ̀ràn pé kí wọ́n pe àpérò láàrin ara wọn lórí bí wọ́n ó ṣe fòpin sí àwọn ìṣòro tó ń kojú ẹkùn yìí. Aláàfin ìlú Ọ̀yọ́ Ọba Lámìdí Adéyẹmí, Olúbàdàn ilẹ̀ Ìbàdàn Ọba Sọ́líù Adétúnjì, igbákejì gómìnà Onímọ̀-ẹ̀rọ Rauf Ọláníran àtàwọn lókọlókọ ló péjú pésẹ̀ síbi ìpàdé náà. Alákòóso fọ́rọ̀ ọ̀dọ́ àti eré ìdárayá lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà Ọ̀gbẹ́ni Sunday Dáre gúnlẹ̀ sílùú Ìbàdàn lónìí láti ṣèpàdé pẹ̀lú àwọn aṣojú ọ̀dọ́ jákèjádò ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́. Ìgbésẹ̀ yìí kò ṣẹ̀yìn bá ààrẹ Muhammadu Buhari ṣe pàṣẹ fáwọn alákòóso gbogbo láti lọ pẹ̀tù sáwọn ọ̀dọ́ agbègbè ìpínlẹ̀ àtẹkùn wọn nínú láti fọwọ́ wọnú. Sunday Dáre nígbà tó ń bá àwọn akọ̀ròyìn sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́yìn ìgbà tó bá gómìnà Ṣèyí Mákindé ṣèpàdé tán, jẹ́ kó di mọ̀ póun ó ṣàmúlò ètò ìrónilágbára 25 táàrẹ gbé kalẹ̀ láti fi ṣèrànwọ́ fáwọn ọ̀dọ́ ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́.
Nípa ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ tó ti ṣẹlẹ̀, ẹ̀rí wọ́n ṣe EndSARS protest látẹ̀kọ́ dé Ìbàdàn, Ẹdó, Abia, Cross River. Wọ́n ń béèrè yìí pé àwọn police nǹkan tí wọ́n ń ṣe kò dára. Àwọn police ń pa àwọn èèyàn láì dájọ́. Àwọn police mú àwọn ọ̀dọ́ wa, àwọn àgùnbánirọ̀, wọ́n tì wọ́n mọ́lé, wọ́n violate rights wọn. Àwọn ọ̀dọ́ wa dẹ̀ ṣe protest yìí pé kí ìjọba orílẹ̀-èdè kó da EndSARS rú. Wọ́n mú ẹ̀bẹ̀ 5 wá. Ààrẹ orílẹ̀-èdè President Muhammadu Buhari dẹ̀ gba gbogbo 5 tí wọ́n mú wá. Ìjọba àpapọ̀ ń ṣiṣẹ́ lórí ẹ̀. Ìdí tí mo fi wá ní pé gbogbo mínísítà ni wọ́n dá padà wá Àbújá kí wọ́n wá sí state wọn láti wá bá gọ́vnà sọ̀rọ̀, láti bá àwọn ọ̀dọ́ sọ̀rọ̀, láti bá àwọn leaders wa sọ̀rọ̀ wípé ó yẹ ká ran àwọn ọ̀dọ́ lọ́wọ́, ó yẹ ká ṣiṣẹ́ papọ̀ láti.
Bákan náà ló tún jẹ́jẹ́ pé ìjọba àpapọ̀ ó mú ìdájọ́ òdodo wá sórí gbogbo àwọn tájé ìwà àbàjẹ́ ìṣekúpa àwọn olùwọ́de àlàáfíà bá ṣe mọ́ lórí. Ọ̀kan òjọ̀kan ìwòye ló ń jẹyọ látara bí gómìnà Ṣèyí Mákindé ṣe pàṣẹ pé káwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ nílùú Ìbàdàn padà sẹ́nu ẹ̀kọ́ wọn lónìí. Àná tí í ṣe ọjọ́ ìsinmi lálákòóso fọ́rọ̀ ètò ẹ̀kọ́, ìmọ̀ sáyẹ́ǹsì àtìmọ̀ ẹ̀rọ Ọlásùnkànmí Ọlálẹ́yẹ kéde lórúkọ ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ pé káwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ padà sẹ́nu ẹ̀kọ́ wọn lẹ́yìn ìgbà tí wọ́n ní kí wọ́n so gbogbo ètò rọ̀ láàrin ọ̀sẹ̀ tó kọjá nítorí ìfẹ̀hónúhàn àwọn olùwọ́de tó ń pè fún kí wọ́n fòpin sí ikọ̀ SARS. Akọ̀ròyìn wa tó lọ káàkiri ìlú Ìbàdàn jábọ̀ pé ẹ̀tahóró àwọn olùkọ́ àtakẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ló wá sílé ẹ̀kọ́ lónìí. Ọ̀gá àgbà ilé ẹ̀kọ́ kan Ọ̀gbẹ́ni Akínládé Adéníyì sọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀gbọ́n tó wí.
Ní iléèwé wa àwọn ọmọ wa wọ́n wá dáadáa lẹ́nu, gbogbo olùkọ́ ló wá, wọ́n dẹ̀ kọ́ àwọn ọmọ yẹn láàárọ̀, gbogbo nǹkan lọ ní ìrọwọ́ ìrọsẹ̀ láì sí wàhálà kankan tí wù kí ó mọ̀. Lọ́wọ́ báyìí à ń dúró de àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ nípele kejì àwọn àgbà kí wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ iṣẹ́ tiwọn. Wọ́n náà bá ti dé àwọn náà bẹ̀rẹ̀ iṣẹ́ tiwọn ní aago 12 lọ sí aago 3.
Nínú ọ̀rọ̀ tiẹ̀, olùkọ́ni ilé ẹ̀kọ́ aládàáni kan Ọlátúndé David tọ́ka sí pé àìtètè fìròyìn léde ló mú kẹ́rù ba àwọn òbí láti fi àwọn ọmọ wọn sílẹ̀. bẹ́ẹ̀ sì rèé gómìnà Ṣèyí Mákindé jẹ́ kó di mímọ̀ nígbà tó so gbogbo ètò ẹ̀kọ́ rọ̀ nílùú Ìbàdàn pé títí kó fi di òpin ọ̀sẹ̀ ni o káwọn fi mọ bí nǹkan ó ṣe rí. Ọ̀kan lára àwọn èèkàn gbùngbùn nílùú Ìbàdàn olóyè Theophilus Akínyẹlé jáde láyé lẹ́ni ọdún méjìdínláàádọ́rùn-ún nílùú Èkó. Akínyẹlé tó jẹ́ bọ́bàjírò ìlú Ìbàdàn síwájú ìpapòdà rẹ̀ ni wọ́n bí lọ́jọ́ kẹẹ̀ẹ́dọ́gbọ̀n oṣù kejì ọdún 1932. Ó sì ti fìgbà kan rí jẹ́ alákòóso fọ́rọ̀ iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ àtètò òṣùná lẹ́kùn ìwọ̀ oòrùn ìjọ́un, akọ̀wé àgbà fúngbìmọ̀ aláṣẹ ilé ẹ̀kọ́ gíga fásitì Ilé-Ifẹ̀. Bákan náà ló tún jẹ́ akọ̀wé ìjọba ológun nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ kó tó di pé ó gbàgbéga sípò olórí òṣìṣẹ́ ìjọba. Kò tán síbẹ̀, òun tún ni olùdarí àgbà ìgbìmọ̀ tó ń ṣètò ìṣúná àti olùdámọ̀ràn pàtàkì lórí ọ̀rọ̀ ìṣúná fún ṣàkóso ààrẹ Shehu Shagari láàrin ọdún 1979 sí ọdún 1983. Ìrètí wà pé ìṣàkóso ààrẹ Muhammadu Buhari àtàwọn olórí ẹgbẹ́ olùkọ́ni láwọn ilé ẹ̀kọ́ gíga fásitì orílẹ̀-èdè yìí ASUU yóò ṣèpàdé lónìí lórí ọ̀nà ìgbàlódé tíjọba fẹ́ gbà láti máa sanwó oṣù wọn tá a mọ̀ sí IPPIS àti 30 bílíọ̀nù náírà tíjọba fẹ́ gbé fún wọn láti fi ṣàtúnṣe àwọn ilé ẹ̀kọ́ fásitì gbogbo. Alákòóso fọ́rọ̀ àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ àtìgbanisíṣẹ́ Chris Ngige tó bá àwọn akọ̀ròyìn sọ̀rọ̀ nípa ìpàdé ọ̀hún jẹ́ kó di mímọ̀ pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan tó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú àwọn olùkọ́ni ilé ẹ̀kọ́ gíga fásitì làwọn ti fẹnu kò lé lórí nínú ìpàdé tó wáyé lójú òpó ayélujára amóhùnmáwòrán àyàfi ọ̀rọ̀ IPPIS àti ti 30 bílíọ̀nù. Bẹ́ẹ̀ sì rèé àwọn òǹwòye jẹ́ kó di mímọ̀ pé ó ṣeé ṣe kí ìpàdé ọ̀hún mọ́ lójútùú tí ààrẹ Muhammadu Buhari ò bá bá wọn dá sí ọ̀rọ̀ náà. Ìròyìn àṣálẹ́ ló ń dé sétí ìgbọ̀nyín láti kàn ní Pensioners 106.7. Ẹ jẹ́ kí n dánu dúró díẹ̀ náà tá a bá padà dé a ó mú ìròyìn eré ìdárayá wá fún yín. Ẹ káàbọ̀ padà. Ìròyìn eré ìdárayá síwájú kí sáà bọ́ọ̀lù 2020-2021 tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ lórílẹ̀‐èdè yìí, ẹgbẹ́ àwọn adarí ayò ti jẹ́ kó di mímọ̀ páwọn ṣì ń retí ìlànà bí gbogbo ètò ó ṣe lọ látọ̀dọ̀ àwọn alákòóso líìgì orílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà. Akọ̀wé ẹgbẹ́ náà Kelechi Mejuobi tó ṣe léyìí di mímọ̀ fákọ̀ròyìn wa Ìbíwùmí Ìṣọ̀lá fi kún pé ìbẹ́sílẹ̀ àrùn kòrónà ṣọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìpalára fẹ́ka eré ìdárayá orílẹ̀‐èdè yìí. Bẹ́ẹ̀ sì rèé ètò àyẹ̀wò ìlera tájọ FIFA fẹ́ ṣe fáwọn adarí ayò ilẹ̀ yìí ni wọ́n ti sún sọ́sẹ̀ tó ń bọ̀ nítorí ìwọ́de ìfòpin sí ikọ̀ SARS. Ìròyìn àṣálẹ́ wa fún tòní kò ní jù báyìí lọ, ṣùgbọ́n kí n tó dánu dúró ẹ gbọ́ àwọn àrígbámú inú rẹ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí i. Ẹgbẹ́ SERAP bẹnu àtẹ́ lu bí àjọ tó ń ṣe kòkárí iléeṣẹ́ ìgbóhùnsáfẹ́fẹ́ nílẹ̀ yìí ṣe gbégidá àwọn iléeṣẹ́ amóhùnmáwòrán kan lẹ́yìn. Àwọn ọmọ ìṣọ́tá wa katakata tuntun kan lọ nípínlẹ̀ Adamawa. Mákindé pìyàmọ́ owó fáwọn ọ̀dọ́ tí kò níṣẹ́ lọ́wọ́. Lábala eré ìdárayá, àwọn adarí ayò ń fojú sọ́nà fún ìlànà ètò sáà tuntun. Pius Nsabẹ pẹ̀lú ìrànlọ́wọ́ Ọlárìnsáyọ̀ Owóẹ̀yẹ ló ṣíwájú ikọ̀ tó kóròyìn jọ. Anúolúwapọ̀ Fásọyìn ló mú wá sétí gbọ̀yìn kásùn rè o.